I was standing in the frozen foods aisle of Trader Joe's, debating between orange chicken and pad thai, when my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. "You deserve to know the truth about Emily." Attached was a screenshot. My wife of 8 years was visible in what appeared to be a hotel room mirror selfie, wearing lingerie I'd never seen before. The black lace set must have cost a fortune, and I sure as hell hadn't been the one she was modeling it for. But it wasn't just the outfit that made my blood run cold. It was the man's hand visible on her hip, the rumpled bed in the background, and the timestamp. 3 days ago, Tuesday afternoon, when she'd told me she was at a corporate training seminar. The frozen dinner slipped from my hands and shattered on the tile floor. "Sir, are you okay?" A teenage employee materialized beside me, but his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I mumbled something and stumbled toward the exit, leaving my half-full cart abandoned in the aisle. In my car, I stared at the image until my eyes burned. The number that sent it had already gone dead when I tried calling back. Whoever sent it wanted to remain anonymous, but they'd done their damage. My name is Ryan Caldwell, and I'm a 34-year-old civil engineer in Portland, Oregon. I'd built my entire adult life around the idea that Emily and I were partners, equals, best friends who'd chosen each other. We'd met at Oregon State, gotten married right after graduation, bought our modest Craftsman in the Selwood neighborhood, and spent the last 2 years trying for a baby. Trying for a baby. The thought made me want to vomit right there in the parking lot. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing through every interaction from the past few months. The late nights at the office, the new gym membership she'd been so enthusiastic about, the way she'd started keeping her phone face down on every surface, the sudden interest in girls' weekends with her college roommate Jessica. How long had I been the idiot husband, too trusting to see what was happening right in front of me? It was only 4:30 when I pulled into our driveway. Emily's Honda Accord wasn't there yet. She usually got home around 6 on Thursdays. I had time to think, to plan, to figure out what the hell I was going to do with this information. Inside, our house looked exactly the same as it had that morning. Emily's coffee mug still sat in the sink where she'd left it. The throw pillows on our couch were arranged in the specific way she liked. Photos of us smiled from every wall. Our wedding day at Cannon Beach, hiking in the Columbia River Gorge, celebrating my promotion last year. All of it felt like a lie now. I forwarded the screenshot to my personal email. I wasn't going to risk losing the only evidence I had. Then I sat down at my laptop and did what any betrayed husband in 2024 would do. I started digging. Our phone bill was linked to my email since I handled most of our finances. I pulled up the last 3 months of records and started scanning through Emily's call and text logs. One number appeared with suspicious frequency. A 503 area code I didn't recognize, with calls and texts at odd hours. Late nights, early mornings, lunch breaks. I plugged the number into a reverse lookup site. The name that came back made my stomach drop. Tyler Brooks. Tyler freaking Brooks. Emily's ex-boyfriend from college, the guy she'd dated for 2 years before we met. The guy she'd always insisted was just ancient history whenever his name came up. The guy who'd moved to Seattle for some tech job and supposedly fallen completely out of her life. Apparently not. I found their text thread by logging into our shared cloud account, something Emily had forgotten about when she'd upgraded her phone last year and backed everything up. The messages went back 4 months. 4 months. I didn't read them all. I couldn't stomach it. But I read enough to understand that this wasn't some drunken mistake or one-time lapse in judgment. This was an affair. A full-blown, premeditated, ongoing relationship complete with hotel meetups, romantic messages, and plans for a future that apparently didn't include me. "I can't wait to finally be with you for real," one of Tyler's messages read. "Once you tell Ryan, we can stop hiding." Emily's response: "Soon, baby, I promise. I just need to figure out the right time. He's going to be devastated." At least she'd gotten that part right. The garage door opener groaned to life around 6:15. I heard Emily's car pull in, heard her heels clicking on the concrete floor, heard her humming something as she walked through the door into the kitchen. "Ryan, you home?" She sounded cheerful, relaxed. "I picked up Thai food from that place you like. I was thinking we could watch that new documentary on—" She stopped when she saw me sitting at the dining room table, my laptop open in front of me, my phone face up displaying the screenshot. "What's that?" Her voice had changed. Careful now, guarded. "You tell me, Emily." I turned the phone toward her. The color drained from her face. For a moment, she just stood there, frozen, the bag of takeout dangling from her hand. Then she set it down carefully on the counter, like she was moving through molasses. "Ryan, I can explain—" "Don't!" The word came out harder than I'd intended. "Don't insult me by trying to explain that away. I've seen the texts, all of them. Tyler Brooks. 4 months. Did I miss anything?" Her eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her like I'd done 1,000 times before. Just a cold, hollow rage that seemed to fill every cell in my body. "How did you— Who sent you that? Does it matter?" I stared at her. This woman I'd shared a bed with for 8 years, and felt nothing but cold contempt. "Does it matter who sent it, Emily? Does that change what you did?" She set the takeout bags on the counter with shaking hands. "Ryan, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been screwing Tyler for 4 months? How you told him you were going to leave me? How every work trip and girls' weekend was a lie?" My voice stayed level, controlled. I'd had hours to process this. She was just catching up. It wasn't like that." She wrapped her arms around herself. It happened. We reconnected at Sarah Mitchell's wedding in June and— "Sarah Mitchell." I let out a bitter laugh. "The wedding you went to alone because I had that project deadline. The one where you came back and told me how beautiful it was, how romantic." I shook my head. "You've been planning this since June. 4 months of lying to my face every single day." "I didn't plan it." Her voice rose, desperate. "We started talking, and the feelings came back. The way things used to be before—" "Before what? Before you married me? Before you built a life with me?" I pulled out my phone, scrolled to one of the messages I'd screenshotted. "Let me refresh your memory. October 15th. You texted him, 'I can't keep doing this. I need to tell Ryan soon. I can't keep pretending I'm happy here.'" I looked up at her. "Pretending? 8 years, and you were pretending?" Her face crumpled. "That's not fair. We had good years." "Had. Past tense. Interesting choice." I set my phone down on the kitchen island between us like evidence at trial. "You want to know what really gets me? We were trying for a baby. You were taking prenatal vitamins, tracking your cycle, telling me how excited you were to start a family, and the whole time you were planning your exit strategy with Tyler. I did want a baby. I do. With me? Or were you already thinking about having one with him?" The question hung in the air. Her silence was answer enough. "Jesus Christ, Emily." She moved toward me, hands outstretched. "Ryan, please, just listen." "I'm done listening." I stepped back. "I've spent the last 3 hours reading every message between you two. I know about the weekend in Seattle you told me was a training seminar. I know about the hotel in Portland when you said you were at your sister's. I know he's been looking at apartments here that he's planning to transfer from Seattle. I know everything." "Then you know it's real," she said quietly. "What Tyler and I have. It's not just—" "Don't!" The word came out sharp. "Don't you dare try to romanticize this. You cheated. You lied. You destroyed our marriage, and you did it deliberately over and over for months." She wiped at her eyes. "I never meant to hurt you. You just meant to leave me. That's so much better." I grabbed my keys from the counter. "I'm going to a hotel tonight. Tomorrow, I'm calling a lawyer. You can stay here until we figure out the house, but I want you out of the master bedroom. Use the guest room. Ryan, wait. We're done, Emily. The only conversations we're having from now on are through lawyers. I headed for the door, then stopped. Actually, one more thing. I'm canceling your credit cards tonight. You want to start a new life with Tyler? Start financing it yourself. You can't do that. Watch me. They're in my name. You're an authorized user. I'd checked that detail during my research this afternoon. I'm not paying for you to set up house with your boyfriend. I walked out before she could respond, got in my car, and drove. I didn't have a destination in mind, just needed to move, to put distance between myself and that house, that woman, that life that had imploded in a frozen foods aisle. My phone buzzed. Emily, of course. I declined the call and blocked her number. Then I blocked Tyler's number too, though I'd already saved every message as evidence. The Hampton Inn off I-5 had vacancy. The clerk, a kid who couldn't have been more than 20, barely looked up as he processed my card. Just the one night? For now. I had no idea how long I'd need it. How long did it take to dismantle 8 years? The room was generic. Beige walls, floral bedspread, landscape painting that could have been anywhere. Perfect. Nothing here reminded me of her. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my laptop. First call, credit cards. I explained the situation to each company, removed Emily as an authorized user, requested new card numbers. The representatives were professionally sympathetic, like they handled this situation daily. Maybe they did. Second call. My brother, Jake, in Denver. He answered on the third ring. Ryan, what's up? Emily's been cheating on me. Saying it out loud to someone else made it real in a way it hadn't been before. I found out today. I'm at a hotel. Silence. Then, holy shit. Are you sure? Positive. Screenshots, phone records, the works, her college ex-boyfriend, 4 months. I rubbed my eyes. I confronted her tonight. I'm filing for divorce. Jesus, man, I'm sorry. Jake knew what to say and when to shut up, one of his better qualities. What do you need? Nothing right now. Just wanted someone to know. I paused. Actually, can you recommend a divorce attorney? You went through this 2 years ago. Yeah, David Brennan. He's in Portland, works out of the Pearl District. Tough but fair. I'll text you his info. Thanks. You okay? Stupid question, but I'm fine. I wasn't, but I would be. I'll call you tomorrow. After we hung up, I pulled up my bank accounts. Joint checking showed Emily's usual spending. Starbucks, Target, gas. Nothing unusual. But I'd opened a separate account 6 months ago for the house renovation we'd been planning. $23,000, all from my bonuses and overtime. I transferred it to a new account in my name only. Then I drafted an email to my boss, explaining I'd need a few days off for a personal emergency. Sent it before I could overthink it. My phone buzzed again. Not Emily this time. The number was blocked, same as the one that had sent the original screenshot. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Silence. Then a woman's voice, soft but clear. Is she gone yet? Who is this? My heart hammered. Someone who knows what it's like to be lied to. A pause. Tyler's fiancé. Well, ex-fiancé now. He's been cheating on me with your wife since June. The world tilted. His what? We were supposed to get married in December. I found messages on his laptop 3 weeks ago. Your wife didn't know about me. He didn't know about you, not really. She told him your marriage was already over, that you were basically roommates. Her laugh was bitter. We're both idiots, I guess. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I was trying to figure out my own situation first, but then I saw them together last weekend at Pike Place Market in Seattle, and I couldn't let you keep living in the dark. You deserve to know. What's your name? Does it matter? She sounded tired. I sent you the truth. What you do with it is up to you. But for what it's worth, I dumped him 3 days ago. I hope you do the same to her." The line went dead. I sat there in the sterile hotel room, phone in hand, trying to process this new information. Tyler had been engaged. Emily thought she was stealing him away from a single life in Seattle, building a future with someone available. Instead, she'd been the other woman in his life too. The irony was almost funny. Almost. I forwarded the anonymous woman's number to my screenshots folder, added a note about the call. Evidence. Everything was evidence now. Tomorrow, I'd call David Brennan. Start the legal process. But tonight, I just needed to sit in this quiet room and accept that the life I'd known was over. My phone buzzed one more time. Jake, with the attorney's contact information. I saved it and turned off my phone. The text came through at 2:47 p.m. on a Wednesday, 3 weeks into the divorce proceedings. "You need to see this. Meet me at Bongo Java on Belmont in 30 minutes. I'm the blonde in the green jacket. Melissa." I stared at the screen. Melissa Hartman, Tyler's ex-fiancée. The woman who'd blown this whole thing wide open. We'd exchanged exactly 2 messages since that initial phone call. A brief thank you from me, and her terse reply that she was sorry I'd been dragged into Tyler's mess. Now she wanted to meet in person. I was sitting in my lawyer's waiting room, killing time before a 3:30 appointment to review Emily's counterproposal on the property settlement. The timing was tight, but something in the message's urgency made me text back a quick confirmation. 28 minutes later, I spotted her through the coffee shop window. She looked younger than I'd imagined, maybe 29 or 30, with shoulder-length blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. The green jacket was North Face, and she had a laptop open on the table in front of her. She looked up when I approached. "Ryan? That's me. Thanks for coming." She gestured to the chair across from her. "I know this is weird. I almost didn't reach out." I sat down, leaving my coat on. "What's going on?" Melissa glanced around the coffee shop, then turned her laptop to face me. The screen showed what looked like a Facebook page, Tyler's profile, though I'd never bothered to look him up myself. "He updated his relationship status this morning," she said. "I thought you should know before your wife does, if she doesn't already." I leaned forward. The page showed Tyler Brooks, smiling in a profile picture I recognized from the screenshots I'd seen. Below it, updated 4 hours ago, in a relationship with Emily Caldwell. My stomach dropped. He's got to be kidding. "I wish." Melissa's voice was flat. "He's been posting about her for the past week. Vague stuff at first, quotes about finding the one and love worth fighting for. But this morning he made it official." She scrolled down, showing me a series of posts. Photos of Seattle, a picture of 2 coffee cups on a table, one with lipstick marks. A screenshot of a text conversation where someone had sent him a heart emoji. The comments were full of congratulations from people who clearly had no idea what they were celebrating. "Emily's been in Seattle?" I asked. 3 times in the past 2 weeks, according to his check-ins." Melissa pulled up another tab, showing Tyler's location history. Pike Place Market, a restaurant in Capitol Hill, the Seattle Great Wheel. I sat back, processing. Emily had told me through her lawyer that she was staying with her sister in Eugene while we worked out the details. Her sister, supposedly, was helping her process the separation and find clarity. Apparently, clarity looked a lot like weekend trips to see the guy who destroyed our marriage. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. Melissa closed the laptop. "Because I spent 6 months planning a wedding to a man who was sleeping with your wife behind my back. And when it all fell apart, he told everyone I was crazy, jealous, that I'd fabricated evidence because I couldn't handle him having female friends." Her hands were shaking slightly around her coffee cup. "He's doing the same thing now," she continued. "Playing the victim. telling people that you were controlling, that Emily was trapped in a loveless marriage, that they're finally free to be together. I've seen the narrative he's building, and it's all bullshit. What do you want me to do about it? I want you to know what you're dealing with. She pulled out her phone and opened her photos. Tyler's not just some guy who fell for his ex. He's a pattern. Look. She showed me screenshots, dozens of them, text conversations between Tyler and at least 4 different women, all time-stamped during the period he'd been engaged to Melissa. Some were flirty, others were explicit. One thread showed him making plans to meet someone in Portland for a business trip that Melissa had known nothing about. He told me he was faithful, she said, right up until I showed him the evidence. Then he said it was my fault for not being enough. I felt sick. Does Emily know about these? I doubt it. He's good at compartmentalizing. Each woman gets a different version of Tyler, the one they want to see. She put her phone away. I'm telling you this because you seem like a decent person who got screwed over, and because I think your wife is about to get a very rude awakening. I checked my watch. 3:18. I had 12 minutes to get to my lawyer's office. I have to go, I said, standing. But thank you. For this. One more thing. Melissa reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. I made copies of everything, the texts, the photos, the hotel receipts I found when I was packing up his apartment. I don't know if you'll need them, but she slid it across the table. Just in case. I pocketed the drive and headed for the door. My lawyer, David Patterson, was a 52-year-old veteran of Portland's divorce courts who'd come recommended by a colleague at work. He had the kind of weathered face that suggested he'd seen every variation of human betrayal and stopped being surprised around case number 300. You're late, he said when I walked in at 3:33. Something came up. I sat down across from his desk. What's Emily's counter-proposal looking like? David slid a folder across to me. She's asking for the house, her car, and 60% of the retirement accounts. In exchange, she'll waive spousal support. 60%? I flipped open the folder. We were married 8 years. Oregon's a no-fault state. How does she figure 60%? She's claiming she sacrificed career advancement to support your engineering career, that her earning potential was compromised by the marriage. David leaned back in his chair. It's creative, I'll give her that. Her lawyer's trying to paint her as the trailing spouse who put your ambitions first. I laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. She works in marketing. She's been promoted twice since we got married. I'm aware, which is why I'm going to push back hard on this. He pulled out another document. But there's something else. She's also requesting exclusive use of the house until the sale is finalized. Says she needs stability during this difficult transition. She's in Seattle every weekend with her boyfriend. David's eyebrows went up slightly. You can prove that? I pulled out my phone and forwarded him the screenshots Melissa had sent. His Facebook page. He's been documenting their relationship publicly. David studied the images, his expression unreadable. Then he made a note on his legal pad. This is useful. Oregon courts don't care about infidelity when it comes to asset division, but they do care about cohabitation when it comes to support claims and use of marital property. She's not technically cohabitating, I pointed out. Not yet. But this establishes a pattern. He set down his pen. Here's what I'm thinking. We counter with a 50-50 split on everything except the house. You keep the house, she takes her car and an equivalent value from the retirement accounts. No spousal support from either party. She'll never go for that. Probably not. But it's a starting position. David closed the folder. The goal is to make her see that dragging this out is expensive and pointless. Most divorces settle before trial because neither party wants to pay lawyer fees for a judge to tell them what we already know. I thought about the flash drive in my pocket. What if there's more? More evidence of other things? What kind of things? I'm not sure yet, but if it turns out Tyler's been lying to Emily the same way he lied to his ex-fiancée, and Emily finds out, David studied me for a long moment. You want my advice? Don't get involved in their relationship drama. Focus on getting yourself out of this marriage cleanly. Whatever happens between Emily and Tyler is their problem. He was right, of course. The smart move was to keep my head down, split the assets, and move on with my life. But sitting there in David's office thinking about Emily's smug counterproposal and Tyler's public relationship announcement, I couldn't quite stomach the idea of walking away quietly. Drop the counter, I said finally. 50-50 on everything. I want this done. David nodded and made another note. I'll have it ready by Friday. In the meantime, keep documenting anything unusual. Bank statements, credit card receipts, anything that shows she's not being honest about her living situation. I left his office at 4:15, the flash drive still in my pocket. The text came through while I was standing in line at Whole Foods, holding a basket with ingredients I didn't really need. Just killing time, really. Keeping my hands busy so my mind wouldn't spiral. Melissa. You still have that flash drive I gave you? I shifted the basket to my other hand and typed back with my thumb. Me. Yeah, why? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Melissa. I've been thinking about what you said, about how Emily doesn't know who Tyler really is, and I realized something. She's going to find out eventually. He can't help himself. Me. Probably. Melissa. But here's the thing. When she does find out, she's going to come crawling back to you. She's going to realize she blew up her marriage for a serial cheater, and she's going to want to undo it all. I stared at the screen. The woman in front of me moved forward, and I shuffled along without really seeing. Me, that's not happening. Melissa. I know you think that now, but Ryan, I've seen this before. Tyler gets bored, moves on to the next one, and the previous one realizes what they gave up. Emily's going to see you moving on with your life, and she's going to want back in. Me. Even if that's true, I'm not interested. Melissa. Good. But you need to be prepared, and you need to make sure that when she does come back, you have every piece of ammunition you need to shut her down completely. No reconciliation, no second chances, just a clean break where she can't manipulate you. The line moved again. I was almost to the register now. Me. What are you suggesting? Melissa. I'm suggesting you look through everything on that drive. Really look. Because there's stuff in there that shows exactly who Tyler is, and by extension, what Emily chose over you. When she tries to minimize it or claim she didn't know, you'll have proof that the signs were always there, that she should have known. I paid for my groceries on autopilot, barely registering the total. Outside, the late October air was crisp, leaves skittering across the parking lot. I sat in my car and pulled out the flash drive from my messenger bag. I'd been carrying it around for a week, unable to quite decide what to do with it. My laptop was at the apartment. I drove there, the whole time thinking about what Melissa had said. She's going to come crawling back. Was that true? Emily had seemed pretty damn committed to Tyler when I'd seen those Facebook posts. The way she'd smiled in those photos, pressed against him like he was her whole world. The same way she used to look at me. Used to? Back at the apartment, I opened my laptop and plugged in the drive. The folder structure was meticulous. Melissa had organized everything by date and category. There were text message screenshots, emails, photos, even what looked like bank statements. I started with the texts. The first folder was labeled March 2024, Jessica. I clicked it open. The screenshots showed conversations between Tyler and a woman named Jessica Nguyen. Flirty at first, then explicit. Plans to meet up. Photos I didn't linger on. And throughout it all, timestamps that overlapped with other folders, April 2024, Melissa, and May 2024, Amanda. He'd been talking to all of them simultaneously, telling each one she was special, that he'd never felt this way before, that his current relationship was basically over. He just needed to find the right time to end it. The same lines he'd probably fed Emily. I clicked through more folders. There were at least 7 different women spanning the 18 months Tyler had been engaged to Melissa. Some were brief, a few weeks of texting before he apparently got bored. Others lasted months, overlapping and interweaving like he was running some kind of romantic Ponzi scheme. One folder caught my eye. June 2024, Emily. I hesitated before clicking it. Did I really want to see this? Yeah, I did. The first screenshot was from June 8th, 2 days after the wedding where they'd reconnected. Tyler had texted first. Tyler. Amazing seeing you last night. You look even better than I remembered. Emily. Ha, you too, though I think we both had too much champagne. Tyler. Not too much, just enough to remember why we were so good together. I felt my jaw tighten. I kept scrolling. Emily. Tyler. You know I'm married. Tyler. I know, and I'm not trying to mess that up. I think about what we had sometimes, what we could have been if I hadn't moved to Seattle. Emily. We were kids. It was a long time ago. Tyler. Was it, though? Because sitting across from you at that reception, it didn't feel like any time had passed at all. There was a gap of several hours before Emily responded. Emily. I felt it too. And that was it. That was the moment. I could almost see it. Emily sitting somewhere, probably our bedroom, phone in hand, making the decision to respond. To open that door. The texts escalated from there. Within a week, they were talking every day. Within 2 weeks, Tyler was suggesting they meet up. By July, they had. But what struck me as I scrolled through was the pattern. Tyler used the exact same lines with Emily that he'd used with Jessica, with Amanda, with all of them. The same compliments, the same vulnerability, the same carefully crafted persona of a man who'd made mistakes but had finally found the right person. And Emily had fallen for it completely. There was a subfolder labeled Tyler Melissa Texts RE Emily. I clicked it. Tyler. Had lunch with an old friend today, just catching up. Melissa. Nice, anyone I know? Tyler. Nah, from college. Emily something. She's married now, lives in Portland. Melissa. Fun. Always nice to reconnect with old friends. Tyler. Yeah, it was good. The date stamp was June 15th, a week after the wedding. He'd already started the affair and was actively lying to Melissa about it. I kept reading. Throughout June and July, there were occasional mentions of work trips to Portland and catching up with college friends. Melissa never questioned it. Why would she? She trusted him, just like I'd trusted Emily. There was a document file labeled Read This First. I'd skipped over it initially, but now I opened it. It was a Word document, written by Melissa. Ryan. If you're reading this, you've decided to look through everything. Good. You should know what kind of person Tyler is, and what kind of person Emily chose to blow up her marriage for. I've organized this by woman and by date. What you'll find is a pattern. Tyler targets women who are vulnerable in some way. Jessica had just gotten out of a bad relationship. Amanda was new to Seattle and didn't know anyone. Emily was in a marriage that had maybe gotten comfortable, routine. He finds the weak spot and he exploits it. He makes them feel seen, special, like he's the only one who really understands them. And then, when they're hooked, he starts to pull back. He creates drama, makes them chase him, until they're so invested they can't see clearly anymore. I'm not telling you this to make you feel worse. I'm telling you because when Emily realizes what she's gotten herself into, and she will, she's going to try to rewrite history. She's going to claim she was confused, or that Tyler manipulated her, or that her marriage to you wasn't really working anyway. Don't let her. She made a choice. She chose to believe Tyler's lies because she wanted to. She chose to sneak around behind your back. She chose to plan a future with him while still sleeping in your bed. The evidence on this drive shows that Tyler is a predator, but it also shows that Emily was a willing participant. She knew he'd been in a relationship. He told her he'd just gotten out of one. She didn't ask questions because she didn't want answers. Stay strong. You deserve better than someone who would do this to you. Melissa. I sat back, staring at the screen. The cursor blinked in the silence of my apartment. My phone buzzed. A text from David, my attorney. David. Emily's lawyer just sent over a revised proposal. She's willing to go down to 55% if you agree to let her keep the Subaru outright and take on the full balance of her student loans. I looked at the numbers he'd attached. It was better than her previous demand, but still not fair. The Subaru was nearly paid off and her student loans were minimal. She'd gone to a state school and had worked through college. Me. What do you think? David. I think she's testing to see if you'll negotiate against yourself. Counter at 50-50, everything split down the middle, and see what she does. Me. Do it. I set the phone down and looked back at the laptop. At the folders full of Tyler's betrayals. At the evidence of exactly who Emily had chosen. Melissa was right. Emily would figure it out eventually. Tyler would get bored, or he'd meet someone new, or she'd catch him the same way Melissa had. And when that happened, Emily would have to face what she'd done. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I closed the laptop and stood up. It was Thursday night, and I had nothing to do. No wife to come home to. No dinner plans to coordinate. Just me in this empty apartment and the wreckage of the life I'd thought I was building. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Hello? Ryan? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. This is Danielle Foster. I'm a friend of Emily's sister, Katie. I frowned. Okay. I need to talk to you about Emily. Can we meet? The call from Danielle Foster came at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, 3 days after Melissa had handed me that flash drive. I was in my hotel room, halfway through a beer and reviewing some structural calculations for work when my phone lit up. Mr. Caldwell, this is Danielle Foster. We met briefly at... I remember. I set down my pen. You said you needed to tell me something about Emily. Yes. She paused, and I heard traffic noise in the background. Are you somewhere we can talk? In person, I mean. I'm in Portland right now. I drove down from Seattle. My pulse kicked up. You drove 3 hours to tell me something you couldn't say over the phone? It's complicated, and I have something to show you. Another pause. I'm at a coffee shop on Hawthorne, Paleo. Do you know it? I knew it. 20 minutes from my hotel. Give me half an hour. Thank you. I'll be here. I grabbed my jacket and keys, my mind racing through possibilities. Danielle had been one of Tyler's victims, woman number 4 on Melissa's flash drive. A graphic designer from Seattle who dated Tyler for 6 months last year while he was supposedly taking a break from Melissa. She'd seemed shaken when Melissa had confronted her at the coffee shop, but she'd also looked angry. The kind of anger that comes from being used. The drive to Hawthorne took 23 minutes. I found parking a block away and walked to Paleo, a hipster coffee place with exposed brick and too many Edison bulbs. Danielle was sitting at a corner table, her hands wrapped around a mug. She looked up when I entered, and I saw the same tight expression she'd worn at our first meeting. Mr. Caldwell, she stood, offering her hand. Thank you for coming. Ryan is fine. I shook her hand and sat down. What's this about? She reached into her bag and pulled out a manila folder. After Melissa showed me everything, all those other women, the pattern, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About how Tyler operated, the lies he told, the way he compartmentalized everything. Okay. I started going through old emails, text messages, anything I'd saved from when we were together. She opened the folder. And I found something. Something about Emily. My stomach tightened. What kind of something? Danielle slid a printed email across the table. This is from Tyler to me, dated March 15th of last year. We were still together then. He was explaining why he had to cancel our weekend plans. I scanned the email. Tyler's writing was casual, apologetic. He claimed a work emergency had come up, something about a critical server failure that required him to stay in Seattle. But at the bottom of the email, there was a forwarded message, something Tyler had apparently meant to delete before sending. The forwarded message was from Emily. Can't wait for this weekend. I told Ryan I'm going to a work seminar in Eugene. We'll have the whole weekend at that place you mentioned in Cannon Beach. I'm bringing the red lingerie you like. The timestamp on Emily's message was March 12th, 3 days before Tyler had canceled on Danielle. He was going to Cannon Beach with her, Danielle said quietly. Instead of spending the weekend with me, he used a fake work emergency to cancel our plans so he could be with Emily. I stared at the email, my vision narrowing. March 15th. Last year. That was 11 months ago. 8 months before the anonymous photo Melissa had sent me. 8 months before I'd thought the affair had started. This doesn't make sense, I said. Emily and I were trying for a baby last March. I stopped, remembering. She went to a work seminar in Eugene, a 3-day conference on digital marketing strategies. There was no seminar, Danielle said. She was with Tyler. My hands were shaking. I set the email down carefully, trying to process what this meant. The affair hadn't started 4 months ago. It had been going on for almost a year. Maybe longer. There's more, Danielle said. She pulled out another printout. This is a screenshot from Tyler's Instagram. It's from his private account, the one he only shared with close friends. He deleted it months ago, but I'd saved it. The screenshot showed a photo of a beach at sunset. Cannon Beach, unmistakable with Haystack Rock in the background. The caption read, "Best weekends are the secret ones." The date stamp was March the 16th of last year. I remember being so hurt when I saw this, Danielle said, because he'd told me he was working all weekend, but here he was posting beach photos. When I asked him about it, he said it was an old photo he'd just gotten around to posting. I believed him. I couldn't speak. The timeline was rewriting itself in my head, each revelation pushing the betrayal further back. How long had Emily been lying to me? How many work seminars and girls' weekends had actually been trips to see Tyler? "Why are you showing me this now?" I asked finally. Danielle's expression hardened. "Because I want Tyler to face consequences. Real ones. And because I think Emily has been playing you for a lot longer than you realize." She pulled out one more document. I did some digging after Melissa's confrontation. I looked through my old credit card statements, cross-referenced them with times Tyler said he was busy or out of town. She spread out a printed spreadsheet. It was color-coded, dates highlighted in different shades. The yellow dates are times Tyler told me he couldn't see me because of work. The blue dates are times I later found evidence he was somewhere else, Instagram posts, check-ins, things like that. The red dates are times I now know he was with other women, based on what Melissa showed us. I scanned the spreadsheet. There were a lot of red and blue dates, but what caught my eye were the green highlights. "What's green?" I asked. "Those are dates I couldn't account for. Times Tyler was MIA and I had no idea where he was or what he was doing. She pointed to a cluster of green dates in February and March of last year. I think these were Emily, before March 15th. I think they'd been seeing each other for at least 2 months before that email. 2 months before March would be January. 14 months ago. Over a year. How can you be sure? My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. I can't be completely sure, Danielle admitted. But look at the pattern. Every other week, sometimes every week, Tyler would be unavailable Friday through Sunday. He'd say he was visiting his parents in Bend, or doing a guy's camping trip, or working on some urgent project. But his parents live in Sacramento, not Bend. And I never met any of these guy friends he supposedly went camping with. I studied the spreadsheet. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. Regular weekend absences, spaced out just enough to seem plausible but frequent enough to maintain a relationship. Emily told me she was doing a lot of weekend training sessions last year, I said slowly. For work. Her company was rolling out new software, and she said they were doing intensive weekend workshops to get everyone up to speed. Were they? Danielle asked. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. It took me a minute to find what I was looking for. A message from Emily's boss, Christine Yang, from last April. I'd emailed her to confirm some details about Emily's work schedule for our taxes. Emily's been a tremendous asset to the team, Christine had written. We're lucky to have someone so dedicated, though I wish our training budget was big enough for weekend workshops. Unfortunately, we only do those during regular business hours. I showed Danielle the email. She nodded slowly. So Emily was lying about the weekend workshops, just like she lied about the Eugene seminar. Just like she lied about everything. I felt hollow. The affair wasn't 4 months old. It was over a year old, possibly longer. Emily had been living a double life for more than a third of our marriage, and I'd never suspected a thing. There's one more thing, Danielle said. She hesitated, then pushed a final document across the table. I found this in Tyler's email. It's from Emily to him, dated January 10th of last year. I didn't want to read it, but I picked it up anyway. I can't believe we're doing this again. After everything that happened in college, I swore I'd never go back to you. But here we are. Ryan is a good man, but he's not you. He's never been you. I need to figure out what I'm going to do, but until then, let's keep this between us. No one can know. Not Melissa, not Ryan, not anyone. Again, the word burned into my brain. They had a relationship in college, I said numbly. I knew that. Emily told me they dated for 2 years before breaking up. Read the date, Danielle said gently. January 10th. 14 months ago. But Emily and I had been married for 8 years. Which meant, again, didn't refer to their college relationship. It meant they'd done this before. During our marriage. The appointment was Emily's idea. Of course it was. She'd texted me 3 days after I'd moved back into the house. Her still at her sister's place in Beaverton, the divorce papers filed, my lawyer already salivating over the evidence timeline. Can we talk? Face to face? I know you're angry, but we need to discuss things like adults. I'd ignored it. Ignored the next 5 texts too. Then she'd switched tactics. I'm coming by the house Saturday at 2 p.m. to get some of my things. You can be there or not. So I'd made plans to be elsewhere. Specifically, I'd made plans to be getting a haircut in Nashville, Tennessee. Work trip. Actual work trip this time, not the Emily special where work trip meant hotel sex with your ex-boyfriend. I was consulting on a bridge project outside Nashville, flew in Thursday night, had meetings Friday, and figured I'd stay through the weekend rather than rush back to watch Emily pack up her lies. Saturday afternoon found me killing time at a strip mall near my hotel. I'd noticed the nail salon, Lux Nails and Spa, pink neon sign, the works, sandwiched between a Starbucks and a dry cleaner. Not my usual scene, but I'd been curious about getting a pedicure ever since my buddy Jake had raved about the one his girlfriend made him get. Best foot massage of your life, man. No shame. The place smelled like acetone and lavender. 6 stations, all full except one in the back. The woman at the front desk, nameplate read Kim, looked up from her phone. "Walk in?" she asked. "Yeah, just a basic pedicure." She glanced at a booking sheet covered in scribbled names and times. 20-minute wait, okay? Sure. She gestured to a waiting area with 3 chairs and a stack of magazines that looked like they'd been there since 2019. I sat, pulled out my phone, started scrolling through work emails. That's when I heard it. 2 techs at the stations nearest me, talking in that way people do when they think customers aren't listening. "I'm just saying, couples pedicures are cute when it's actually a couple," the younger one said. She was working on an older woman's feet, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. Not when it's the same woman with 2 different guys. The other tech, older, maybe 50, laughed. "Which one you talking about?" "The blonde." "Ashley." "No, Amanda. The one who always books the corner chairs, asks for the privacy screen." My attention sharpened. Not because I cared about some random woman's drama, but because I had nothing better to do, and the alternative was thinking about Emily ransacking our house. "Oh, her." The older tech lowered her voice. "The one with the guitarist boyfriend?" "Boyfriend." The younger one made air quotes with wet fingers. "Except she also comes in with the other guy, the one with the wedding ring." I shouldn't have been listening. Wasn't my business. But something about the scenario felt familiar in a way that made my chest tight. "Maybe they're divorced," the older tech offered. "Nah, I saw her booking sheet once when Kim left it out. She books under different names. Amanda Miller for the guitarist, Mandy Richardson for the husband guy." The younger tech shook her head. "Same phone number for both appointments, though. Same credit card." The customer in her chair, the older woman, made a disapproving sound. "Some people have no shame." "The guitarist's sweet, though," the younger tech continued. "Always tips 20%, calls her babe. Last time they were here, he had his notebook out, writing song lyrics between the foot soak and the massage. She was helping him rhyme words. Real cute." "What about the husband?" the older woman asked. "Quiet, polite. Tips good too, but he's got that look, you know? Like he thinks he's the luckiest guy alive." The tech's voice carried a note of pity. "No idea his girl's playing him." The older tech sighed. "You gonna tell him?" "How?" "Hey, sir, while I'm buffing your calluses, just FYI your girlfriend's cheating on you?" "Not my circus, not my monkeys." I felt sick. Not because of their story. I didn't know these people, didn't care about Amanda Mandy and her 2-timing pedicure schedule. But because 4 months ago, that could have been someone talking about Emily. Hell, maybe someone had been talking about Emily. Maybe some barista in Portland had watched her meet Tyler at a coffee shop, watched them hold hands across the table and thought, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." Kim called my name. "Ryan, Station 4 is ready." I stood, legs feeling wooden, and followed her to a chair where a tech named Lisa waited with a basin of warm water. She smiled, gestured for me to sit. "First time?" she asked. "That obvious?" "Little bit." "It's okay, just relax." "You want the works or basic?" "Basic's fine." She had me put my feet in the water, started the massage jets. It should have been relaxing. Jake was right. It felt amazing. But I couldn't stop thinking about the conversation I'd overheard. Couldn't stop seeing Emily in that anonymous woman's double booking schedule. Lisa made small talk while she worked. Where was I from? What brought me to Nashville? Did I like country music? I answered on autopilot, half my attention still on the 2 techs who'd gone back to safer topics. Weekend plans, a customer who'd tried to haggle on prices. Then Kim walked past with a booking sheet, setting it on the counter near my station while she answered her phone. And because I'm apparently a glutton for punishment, I glanced at it. The sheet was covered in appointments, times, names, standard stuff. But in the margins, someone had doodled. Song lyrics looked like. Fragments of verses, words crossed out and rewritten. Your hands in mine, like we've got all the time. 2 hearts, 1 beat, baby, you make me complete. The kind of sappy stuff that would make a decent country song if you added the right melody. The handwriting was masculine, blocky letters, the same hand that had written M+J 3 p.m. couples PKG in the 2 p.m. slot for today. M+J Mandy and the guitarist, presumably. I shouldn't have cared. But something made me look closer at the booking sheet, scanning the names, the patterns. And there it was. 2 weeks ago, same Saturday time slot. Amanda Miller, couples PKG. 3 weeks before that, Mandy Richardson, couples PKG. Different last names, same first name, same time preference, same package. The younger tech had been right. Same person, different guys. Kim came back, snatched up the booking sheet with an apologetic smile. Sorry, can't leave these lying around. Privacy and all that. But I'd already seen enough. Lisa finished my pedicure. Toenails trimmed, calluses buffed. Some kind of massage that would have been heavenly if I wasn't mentally elsewhere. I paid, tipped 20% because the service was good and none of this was Lisa's fault, and walked out into the Nashville heat. My phone buzzed. Emily, again. Please talk to me. I know I messed up, but we can work through this. I deleted the text without responding. Here's what I'd learned in the frozen foods aisle at Trader Joe's, in Melissa's coffee shop confessions, in Danielle's timeline expansions. Betrayal has layers. You think you've hit bottom, that you've discovered the worst of it, and then you find another basement level. Another lie beneath the lie. That woman at the nail salon, Amanda or Mandy or whatever her real name was, she thought she was clever. Different names, same routine. 2 men who probably each thought they were special. The husband guy with his wedding ring and his oblivious smile. The guitarist with his song lyrics and his babe and his 20% tips. Both of them getting played. Just like I had been. I sat in my rental car, air conditioning blasting, and thought about Emily's text. We can work through this. As if this was a simple mistake, a rough patch, something fixable with couples therapy and a heartfelt apology. Not a 14-month affair, not multiple rekindlings, not lies stacked on lies stacked on lies until the whole foundation of our marriage was rotten. My phone buzzed again. Not Emily this time, my lawyer, Patricia Brennan. Got the updated evidence from Danielle. This strengthens our position significantly. Call me Monday. I would. But first, I had the rest of the weekend in Nashville, and a strange new clarity settling over me like cold water. Emily wanted to talk? Fine, we'd talk. But it would be on my terms, my timeline, and with every scrap of evidence laid out like cards on a table. No more basements, no more hidden levels. Just the truth, clean and sharp as a knife. The divorce was finalized on a gray morning in February, 9 months after that text in the Trader Joe's parking lot. No dramatic courtroom showdown, just Emily, her lawyer, me, and Patricia in a conference room that smelled like stale coffee and defeat. Emily signed the papers with shaking hands, mascara already smudging under her eyes. The settlement was 60-40 in my favor once all of Danielle's evidence came out. Turns out judges in Oregon don't care about adultery for asset division, but they care a lot about financial fraud. And Emily had been using our joint credit card for hotel rooms since January of last year. She tried to speak to me as we left. Ryan, I walked past her like she was a stranger, because that's what she was. Tyler dumped her 6 weeks after our separation became public. Melissa had been right. He got bored once the thrill of sneaking around was gone. Last I heard from Jake, who heard it from a mutual friend, Emily was back on dating apps, posting photos with strategic captions about new beginnings and finding herself. The comments were full of supportive emojis from people who had no idea what she'd done. I sold the house in March. Took a loss on it, but I didn't care. Too many ghosts in those walls. Too many memories that had curdled into something toxic. I moved to a condo in the Pearl District, closer to work, and started over with furniture that Emily had never touched. Melissa and I got coffee a few times after everything settled. Not romantic. Neither of us was ready for that. Maybe never would be with each other. But there was something clean about sitting across from someone who understood exactly what it felt like to have your reality rewritten by someone else's lies. She moved back to San Francisco in April, took a job with a tech startup. We still text occasionally. Survivor solidarity, I guess. Danielle sent me a card when the divorce finalized. Just 2 words. Stay strong. I kept it on my fridge for a month before throwing it away. Not because I didn't appreciate it, but because I didn't need the reminder anymore. The thing about betrayal, the thing nobody tells you, is that it doesn't break you all at once. It's erosion, not explosion. Every new revelation, every uncovered lie, every rewritten memory takes another piece of who you thought you were. The man who stood in that frozen foods aisle 9 months ago, phone in hand, world collapsing, he doesn't exist anymore. I'm someone different now. Harder, maybe. Definitely more careful. But also free. I started dating again in May. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and casual dinners with women I met through friends or apps. I was honest about my baggage, recently divorced, trust issues, taking things slow, and most of them appreciated the transparency. A few didn't. That was fine too. I'd learned to spot the red flags now, the little inconsistencies that used to slide past me. Phone always face down, vague about weekend plans, stories that didn't quite line up. I didn't need to verify anymore. I just needed to walk away at the first sign of smoke. Jake flew out in June for my birthday. We got drunk at a brewery in Southeast Portland, and somewhere around beer number 4, he asked the question everyone had been dancing around. You doing okay? Really? I thought about it. About the empty condo that was mine alone. About the promotion I'd gotten at work because I'd thrown myself into projects with nothing else to distract me. About the fact that I could eat Thai food 3 nights in a row without anyone commenting on it, could leave dishes in the sink, could make plans without consulting anyone. Yeah, I said. I really am. And I meant it. Here's what I learned from the wreckage of my marriage. Love without honesty is just a pretty lie you tell yourself. Emily had loved me, probably, in whatever capacity she was capable of loving anyone. But she'd loved the version of me that didn't ask questions, didn't look too closely, didn't demand accountability. The moment I became real, the moment I required truth, that love evaporated like morning fog. Some people aren't built for the hard work of fidelity. They chase the high of new romance, the thrill of secret meetings, the validation of being wanted by multiple people. And when you catch them, they'll rewrite history to make themselves the victim. Emily tried that in the divorce proceedings, claimed I'd been emotionally distant, that our marriage had been dead for years, that Tyler had simply helped her see what she was missing. Patricia shut that down with phone records, showing Emily texting me, "I love you," the same day she was booking hotel rooms with Tyler. Hard to claim emotional distance when the evidence says otherwise. The truth is simpler and uglier. Emily wanted everything: the stability of marriage, the excitement of an affair, the freedom to rewrite reality as it suited her. And she might have gotten away with it if some anonymous person, Melissa, doing the right thing, hadn't sent that screenshot. I think about that sometimes. How close I came to never knowing. How I might have spent years, maybe decades, living in Emily's carefully constructed fantasy. Maybe we'd have had kids. Maybe I'd have grown old never knowing that my wife had spent a year of our marriage living a double life. The thought doesn't make me angry anymore. Just sad. Sad for the time I lost, sad for the man I was who trusted so completely, sad for Emily, who threw away something real for something that was always going to be temporary. But mostly, I feel lucky. Lucky that I found out when I did. Lucky that I had people like Melissa and Danielle who cared enough to tell the truth. Lucky that I'm only 35 with enough time to build something better. It's been a year now since that day in Trader Joe's. I'm sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset turn the Willamette River gold, and my phone buzzes with a text from a woman named Sophie. We've been seeing each other for 2 months. Nothing serious yet, but promising. She's a high school teacher, divorced herself 3 years ago, gets the baggage without needing it explained. Still on for tomorrow, her text reads. Fair warning, I'm terrible at mini golf. I smile and type back, perfect, I'm terrible at it too. No games, no hidden meanings, just two people trying to figure out if they fit with all their cards on the table. That's the other thing I learned. You can't control whether people lie to you. You can only control how you respond when they do. You can choose to stay and accept the lies, to twist yourself into knots trying to make sense of nonsense. Or you can choose to walk away, to demand better, to rebuild your life on a foundation of truth instead of pretty fantasies. I chose to walk away, and every day since that choice has gotten easier. Emily texted me once, about 3 months after the divorce finalized. Just 3 words. I'm sorry, Ryan. I read it, felt nothing, and deleted it without responding. Some apologies come too late, cost too much, mean too little. Hers was all 3. The sun dips below the horizon, and the city lights start to flicker on. Somewhere out there, Emily is living her life. Tyler is probably running the same con on someone new, and the world keeps turning like none of it mattered. But it mattered to me. It taught me that trust is earned, not given. That love requires honesty to survive. That you can't build a future with someone who's still lying about the past. And most importantly, that sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you is also the thing that sets you free. I finish my beer, text Sophie back about tomorrow's plans, and head inside. The condo is quiet, clean, mine. No ghosts here, no lies hiding in the corners. Just me, starting over, one honest day at a time. And that's enough.